Greetings, wrestlers. This one's a short one, but very helpful. It's for parenting scenarios where there are two parents around. You guys need to work together on many things, but one of the cool ways that you can work together is have an arrangement predefined where either of you can text the other person a message that will set them into an action that your children need in that moment that you can't directly provide for one reason or another. So we could call this tag team parenting, maybe. I probably could come up with a better word for it. I don't like calling it good guy, bad guy, but it kind of works out that way. So there are conflicts that arise in normal everyday relationships, especially with children, that are very disappointing to one or both people involved. Maybe you're needing to or wanting to exert your ownership over something that your kids really want to play with. Maybe they're wanting your television in the living room and they're wanting to put what they want on your TV, and you've had a long day at work and you just want to watch your one show or something like that. Just coming up with an example. The specifics are unimportant. But the result is that your kids are very sad, upset, frustrated, angry, crying, whatever the situation may be. Something about one of the parents has contributed, rightfully or wrongly, let's go with rightly, it contributed to making them in this negative emotional state. What you should be able to do in this scenario is grab your phone quietly, text your significant other, hey, Dagny's sad about blah, blah, blah. She needs a good guy right now. And what that means to the other parent is that it is now their job to be the emotional regulator. And this goes to what we talked about in that Anarchapulco talk. You walk into the room and you say, oh my goodness, you look sad. What's going on? The kid looks up at you. Dada, blah, 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 blah. Dada didn't do this. He did do this. He won't let me do that. I'm sad, just whatever it is. Get down on their level, eye level with them, arms open, oh man, that sounds so tough. I can tell you're so fill in the blank, sad, depressed, frustrated, angry, whatever. Come here, talk to me about it. Tell me about it. So they come to you and you hug them and you put them in your lap and you just let them vent and you walk them through it, and you don't sort of giving them the judgments. Like the judgment already came from the bad guy, from the other parent that called you in for help. Your job is to sort of be their advocate in the situation and be on their side, not to the point where you're agreeing that the other parent was necessarily wrong when they weren't, but just be there to teach them how to handle things like disappointment and sadness and frustration. Walk them through it, let them vent, show them how to handle that. Maybe, and this happens more often than not, teach them how to negotiate for what they want, because in the beginning, for years, you're the only one that's going to even know what negotiation is. You're the one that's going to think of coming up with deals because you're the one that's trying to get a bunch of parenting stuff done. They won't really realize necessarily by default that they have the ability to suggest and make up and imagine their own deals based on the things that they want. And so when the good guy parent walks in the room, that's a lot of what they can be doing. Oh, wow. Okay. So you wanted your show on the TV. Did you try and make a deal? Oh, no. Well, what kind of deal do you think we could offer? And then, you kind of collude with them to help them negotiate. And you sort of, this is a good time, actually. I was going to make it a separate video, but I guess we'll just combine it because it's perfect for this. We have a system of advocacy in our house that we use oftentimes for this purpose. A lot of times, especially when the kids are young, they are not going to have the mental faculties, capacities to really properly negotiate for themselves. And the best way to teach them to negotiate for themselves and to make deals for things they want is to have, and I don't want to use this term in its normal sense, but basically a lawyer or an advocate, an adult on their side, negotiating and helping them make deals with them. And so a lot of times what the good guy can do is realize, okay, well, maybe it's a situation that's just unresolvable, and yeah, there's disappointment and frustration involved, and you're going to help them process that. You're just going to be on their team, and you're going to help them work through it and to teach their brain how to cope with the negative emotions of a situation that is negative, that they don't like. Because that's going to happen. That's part of life. But then you'll also be able to identify way more than they will the situations in which a negotiation or a deal could be made that might satisfy everyone's needs in the situation. And it's a perfect teaching moment for your children on how to make deals, how to negotiate. So what we do in our house is ask them, well, would you like me to be your advocate and to see if I can help you make a deal? I've never gotten a no answer to that question because, I mean, it feels really good as a kid to have this entire adult completely on your side as your advocate in a negotiation. That's empowering and bolstering and good for them. Plus, they are watching every little thing that goes on during these negotiations between the two grown-ups, and they see how to negotiate for what a person wants by seeing it done for what they want. There is no better way to teach negotiation than to specify advocates for your kids. There's I mean, it goes without saying, but there's so many advantages to having a two-parent house. And this is a big one because you need somebody that can be on their side in negotiations, you know, with either parent. And obviously you're going to take turns with this stuff. Sometimes my wife is going to be the one that's making, you know, our kids disappointed or upset or frustrated or sad because that's just how life works. You know, you don't always win your negotiations. And when the kids lose, they need to have a good guy. And then I get to be the good guy and I get to go in and do all this stuff. And, you know, hey, and maybe I'll do a full video on the whole how to be an advocate thing, being your kids' lawyers or something like that. But, that is the cool thing about tag team parenting, is just be ready. And when one parent texts the other, hey, so-and-so needs a good guy, unless what you're doing is just really high priority, which certainly can happen sometimes. But these are such powerful teaching moments and healing moments and relationship building moments for your children. You should really make it a priority to stop what you're doing and go be the good guy for the kids when they need it. Because, man, these situations are ripe for lessons to be learned and, you know, brain training. Because, like, I mean, honestly, and maybe this should have been more front and center in the orientation video, but like a big part of parenting is just waiting for their brains to grow. Because a lot of the capacities that you need them to have, you can't teach them. This is architecture and complexity between neurons in the brain that just has to grow, and it grows at pretty much a set rate, and it's over time, and it takes years. And so a lot of parenting is just like being patient while you wait for the brain to grow for years sometimes. Like that's the job. That's just the job. But what you can do is kind of, in some ways, accelerate the process by training the brains as they're growing. And the best way to train the brains is to have that empathic link with them, because the teaching them how to regulate their own emotional feedback loops is one of the most powerful and helpful and important ways that you can help your kids. And you do that by doing that process I talked about in that original Anarchapulco video, where you get down on their level, you open your arms, you mirror back to them what you see, you empathize with them, you don't give them pushback or judgments or here's what you should have done, or, you know, try and convince them of anything until you've sort of calmed the emotions. Maybe we'll do a video on that process separately as well. There's so much to talk about. I will never run out of videos, it seems like. All right, guys. So if you have any comments, if you have any things that this made you think of, or if you have anything that you'd like me to talk about in this area, let me know. Thanks, guys.